Hey, I hope you guys are having yourselves a good day today. I'm Michael Joseph, artist, DJ, and author, and this is episode 2 of this series. I am going to talk today about a little bit about my journey and what I had to do to kind of create this life that I want. And that's kind of what I want this whole series to be. I have no problem answering questions with this. If you have questions in the future, that's great too. This series of videos is intended to be kind of like a podcast. And I am going to be putting some of these over, once I get several made, put them over on Spotify as a podcast, and it can be listened to as an audio only. And that is kind of what I'm hoping to do with this. So today I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey, and this journey is kind of how I had to mentally go through things to get myself to where I'm at right now and what I'm doing. I am living a full-time creative life, at least currently. I mean, with the economy, anything could change at any moment, and I would sure do a video and tell you guys, that things have changed, which they may. Who knows? It's one of the things I've learned in life is that you can never say never and never say no to things unless it's, a big deal, because there's a lot of stuff that you might like and you might want to do and you don't even know it yet. So today we're going to be talking about, again, the journey that I went on. And the title of this video is called Breaking Expectations and Building Legacies. And it is the transformation between me having to break things down to build them up again. So breaking expectations basically simply means that I both had to break the expectations of what I expected from myself and what other people expected from me. And I had to look at my life and say, I don't want the same life that other people have built. There are a lot of things, like something, very personal for me is that I've never wanted to raise a family. And I have nothing against marriage or anything like that. It's just I've never wanted to raise children. And that was something that, especially where I grew up, is I literally had someone tell me that my choice to not have children isn't a choice, it's a problem that I need to get checked out. So I had to break expectations from a personal side. I had to break them from a side where people say, that era that I grew up in, you had to go to college, you had to get a good job, you bought the house, you got the mortgage, you raised the kids, you worked at the job for 40 years, and then you just stopped working. And that is not a life that I have learned now that I'm 4 years out of being able to collect Social Security, that I would ever want to live. I don't want to live that life, and it took me a long time. And that's, again, with these videos, I'm hoping to kind of encourage you so that you don't end up in these paths that I did, and maybe you can make some better choices for yourself. So I had to break what was expected of me. I had to break of what I expected of me, because it took me a long time to learn what I really wanted, because I thought some of my life, I thought I wanted fame and fortune. I chased, in the 90s, I was a vocal performer. I put out several albums, and I really thought that's all I wanted to do was tour. And, now how many ever years later, 20 some years later, that's not what I want to do. And that was a tough thing to kind of sit and figure that out for myself. So I had to break expectations of things, both for self and for others. The next thing I had to do after that is I had to make my own path. I talk about this because no one is ever going to give you something unless they expect something back. And I don't mean like your friends or your family. I'm talking about someone going, all I want someone to do is give me a break and give me a chance to prove myself. Most of the time, anybody who's going to give you a break like that knows that they can make something off of you. So if you have this talent or this skill and someone says, I can help you raise that to the next level, they're not going to do that just because they want to see you grow. They do that because they can gain something from it. And a lot of times, to get to where you want to be, you have to make your own path. And that's what I had to do is, even back in the days when I was a dancer and when I was a vocal performer and all these things I've done over the years, DJing and writing and photography, I had to basically say, listen, I could go another path and maybe do something with somebody else, but if I don't do it myself, I'm not going to be able to gain as much as I would if I went on their path. So I had to create my own path and make my own way in some of these things. I had to be my own PR person. I had to be my own booking agent, which I did have booking agents for a while and different things. But again, you kind of have to make your own path. And it took me a while to kind of figure out that I had to do all the work for me because no one was going to do it. So that's one of the things I want to encourage you. that you're probably going to have to make your own path. And then there became a turning point for me. And this was a tough one because I had given up on a lot of this stuff in the early 2000s or around 2008 or so, and ended up taking a day job. And it was a good day job. It was a job that paid very well, had great benefits. It was a corporate job that was really, corporate professional in the finance world. And I ended up, after years of being there that I thought that was going to be my life, I ended up getting laid off. And it made me realize at that time that that job was not for me. Now, again, we're talking about if you're a person that has this creativity or this desire to be an entrepreneur or all these different things, this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. It is not for everyone. And I knew that that job wasn't for me. And I had to take a look at my life and go, what can I do so I never have to go back and do that ever again? It was stressing me out to the point where my health was messed up, physical health, my mental health was messed up. And I went on a long journey to kind of get back to where I'm going to. And I had to take a time that I was there and turn and pivot from what I was doing as a day job and kind of create my own path again after all the years of creating my own path. And that was one of the things that I hit a turning point where I headed in a different direction. And there's times you're going to have to do that too. So one of the things that changed after that turning point was the fact that my values have evolved. And I don't want to say my values changed, but they evolved. And that was one of the things that I kind of looked at some of this stuff, was the fact that I looked for different things. I valued different things. There were different things I had that I considered as a form of wealth as opposed to money. I gave up when I worked that day job. When I started DJing full time after that, I made about half of what I made at the day job, but I was happier. So I gave up money to gain peace of mind and peace of soul and peace of spirit. And that's where my values evolved. And I looked at different things where I was in control of my life. I was in control of my time schedule and considered those forms of wealth. Now, if you can do both, that's great. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that I did. I'm telling you kind of like my journey and what I wanted to do with all of this. So after that, realized my values have evolved. Years later, as I'm working on this, I have discovered that again, like I said, I'm a few years off of being able to collect Social Security. I don't want to retire. And that's a weird thing that a lot of people in this country don't understand, that, you're supposed to get to a point and retire and then live life. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to do that. I've known too many people that died less than 10 years after they retired. So I'm not going to work a job for a zillion years and then pin my life to just a few years after that. And even those years, most of the people who live that, their health isn't all that great. Now, you can do things to take care of yourself and extend that, but sometimes life happens and you don't know. You may live to be a zillion years old. I had a grandfather that lived to be almost 90, he kept moving his whole life, but you don't know. And that's the thing, that I still want to do things in life. I want to create things. I have another book coming out later this year, and these are just things amongst many other things that I'm working on. You'll hear me if you talk to me that I'm always working on a project, and that's one of the things with this, is that I have so many projects that once the book's done, then I'm just going to move on to the next thing, and that's going to go until I die, simply because that's what I want to do, and that's what I want to try to create with this life, is that I want to create something that I don't want to stop doing. And if I can make money from the things that I want to do and keep going, that's just a benefit on a benefit on a benefit. And that's, again, why I'm trying to build some of this stuff, why I'm trying to build the YouTube side. And I'm going to talk a little bit as we end this in a few minutes about where this is all leading to and why I'm choosing this. And it goes back to the title that we talked about. And after we talk about the big goals that I have in the future, is that I am in a continuous process of self-discovery when it comes to what I want. So let that be an encouragement to you, that I don't know where you are in a path of things, but I'm telling you right now that you're going to always be on this path of self-discovery, and things may change. So what I want out of my life now may change in 10 years. Just like 10 years ago or 15 years ago when I was working the day job before I got laid off, however long ago it was, 17 years, I don't remember what it is now. I thought that's what I wanted. And as I grew on some of these things, I'm realizing that my self-discovery of who I am, what I want, is changing. And who knows what that'll lead to in the future? I don't know. But again, like I said, I'm trying some of these things, and I just want to put that in your head that in the process of this, that continual process of self-discovery is part of it. And that takes us to the final thing that I had referenced just a couple seconds ago, is building a legacy. Now, a lot of people who build a legacy build it for their children and stuff like that. I don't have children, and I don't feel that that's where I'm called. I never felt that's where I was called, but I am seeing some of the stuff I need to do to build a legacy, and it's not a legacy that benefits me in any way, shape, or form. I am building this for anybody who's going to watch this. These YouTube videos are going to be up for years on YouTube. The books that are always going to be out there that I've done and that I'm doing and that I may do more in the future. All of these things are stuff I'm building, the projects I'm working on, the photos that I take, the encouragement words that I write, and all of these things I'm trying to continually build a legacy. And that legacy is part of my wealth that I'm leaving to the world. And again, I'm not saying I'm someone super special. I'm not saying that. But as a person of faith, I believe I'm responsible to be a good steward with what is given to me. And that's what I'm going to try to do with all of this. And that is part of this series of videos, is that I'm trying to talk to you person to person and pass on any little bits of information that I have to help you, and most importantly, to encourage you, because that's all it takes sometimes, is one person just kind of cheering us on from the sidelines to take that extra step that we wouldn't have taken and cross the finish line that we never thought we were going to cross. So that is my journey that I was talking about with this, going from breaking expectations to building legacies. And your journey is going to be different than mine, but you are going to have some of these same steps. And I want to encourage you that as you take these steps, it's worth it. All of the effort is worth it, but it is going to take time sometimes, and you have to change your perspective on some of these things and look long-term as opposed to short-term. And you have to look at the fact that some people are in the future are going to benefit from what you're doing that you aren't. There is a preacher, and I hope that I say this right. He always said that you will reap what you sow later than you sowed it, and more than you sown. I'm going to say that again. I'm going to try to say it more elegant. You will always reap what you sow later than you sow, more than you sow. So what do you want to sow that gets reaped later and gets reaped by someone long time after you're gone? That's what I'm trying to do with this, and I hope that this helps. So again, I will always take comments, ideas you guys have, questions you want to throw down in there. We can make a Q&A video in the future, but that's what this series of videos is about, and that's what today is about. I hope that it encourages you in your journey and helps you not to stumble on some of the steps that I stumbled on. So until next time, take care and God bless.
This video is sponsored by immj. For all my print-on-demand creations like t-shirts, mugs, posters, original photos, my book, The Creative Virus, or what gear I use, visit the shops on immj.com or my Amazon, eBay, or Etsy stores.